So recently, I had an opportunity to interview Dr. James Beckett, and we were talking about hatred for purist collectors. Now, originally, I had scheduled him a month in advance, and we were going to talk about distribution. But I had been hearing some comments um, pretty frequently, more and more, about purist collectors and just the uh, negative remarks towards purist collectors, and it really had gotten to the point where it started to bother me. It bothered me so much I had to reach out to a friend and talk about this particular subject because I don't think I understand both sides. Okay, I understand that there is mean spirited purist collectors that bring correction, and I think bringing correction is okay, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But I think that it's not what you say, but how you say it. And I think that certain purist collectors are passionate, and I get it because I'm passionate too. And we've been doing it for a very long time, and we have a lot of experience. And I understand that. I understand. And it comes to the point where we feel like we need to protect, right? There's been such a drastic change that we feel threatened, and we feel like we have to protect by any means necessary, and if and attack if necessary. And so we come off very confrontational, very hard around the edges, and we don't get the message across because when we come across that way, people have a tendency to immediately shut down and build walls. And I don't blame them. I totally understand. I've had people come at me sideways, and I'm a purist collector that have been attacked by other purist collectors. And so I get where we're coming from. But there's a popular argument out there that says, "Hey, rookie cards and the hobby, they've evolved. So you purist collectors, you guys need to just get with the times." But you know what? I'm not I'm okay with that, and I get that, but here's the thing. I'm a purist, but I'm also okay with change. I'm okay with the evolution. I collect things. I have cards from vintage all the way to ultra modern. So here's my thing: the hobby and rookie cards have evolved into what? Because we've gone so far away from standards and principles that we've have followed for decades. And if it evolved into something better, then I would say, okay, that's cool. I agree. But it hasn't evolved into something better. It's evolved into chaos. And I'll touch on that, give you an example of that in just a minute. So, this argument, I'm calling BS. Rookie cards and the hobby has evolved into what? Um, I want to share with you quickly three takeaways as I watched that interview with Dr. Beckett. It began to get my wheels turning all the more. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to have this discussion, because I think there were some key elements that I came away with. I know everybody probably has uh, different takeaways depending on where your train of thought is, but I want to share with you my train of thought. And in that 45-minute interview, I want to talk about three things that really stood out to me, three things that I'm taking away from this interview. The first one, we were talking about when the Players Association took over in 2005, how they put pressure on him that they wanted to be the ones to dictate the rookie card and not Beckett Publications. And so he was talking a little bit about that, but he gave a key piece of insight, and he didn't say it as a matter of fact. Hypothetically speaking, he said that perhaps uncertainty and this liberalization of what a rookie card is was part of the plan, because the uncertainty has a it's to their advantage, because that creates an opportunity to generate money. If everything is a rookie card, there's more benefits in selling product as opposed to having these strict rules, and so that was that's a powerful key takeaway for me because it's something somewhat I suspected that, but I never had anybody else to Dr. Beckett's level to really kind of have that same insight. Now we have no evidence that that was the case, but when you start looking back in hindsight, and when you start putting the pieces of this puzzle together, and you start thinking, man, 1 + 1 = 2, and maybe this was all part of the plan to begin with. We want to get rid of the Beckett publication standards for what a rookie card is and the guidelines that were established. And we want to do away with that because we want to create this liberalism, this liberalization of the rookie. We want to be free from all them rules so that we can plaster the rookie card logo on anything we want. And this is going to generate money because the RC logo, the rookie cards of players, are what collectors want. It generates money. Key takeaway for me. The second key takeaway um, was when I asked him, what would you say to collectors, or what would you say to ultra modern collectors about purist collectors? And the answer was actually quite logical. He basically says ultra modern collectors should actually be grateful that purist collectors don't want ultra modern cards, because what would we do then if everybody only wanted ultra modern cards? It would spike the prices, right? It would be harder to find. And so being the fact that there is a genre of purist collectors really brings balance to the ecosystem of all the cards, because if everybody only wants a certain type of card, then the demand is going to skyrocket. And so that was pretty keen insight that I never looked at it that way. The third key takeaway that I got from that interview is we spoke about clarity of language, and that term was used about 3 or 4 times throughout that video. And I'm a firm believer in clarity of language, and I want to show you an example that I came across last night on Instagram to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So let me add this to the stream. And we see here, um, I blurred out the names just to protect the innocent in that. I didn't ask permission to use this. So I just want to use this as an example. So we have this Instagram post that happened last night, and it's for a 2019 Sports Illustrated for Kids of Luka Doncic. Now, Luka was a rookie in the 2018-2019 season, right? And so this was posted, and the comments that the person wrote on this card was 2019 SI for Kids RC number 861 PSA 9 pop 4 none higher. This card was issued in the September 2019 issue for SI for Kids. And look at the amount of hashtags that were used for this. Um, and obviously he goes on to, there's hashtag rookie card, hashtag rookie cards. So there's this big push that this is a rookie card. Okay. And reading on, we start looking at some of the comments. This person commented at the very top here. He says, I'd consider it a RC, not an XRC, which I don't know why he even mentioned XRC. Nobody had mentioned anything about XRC, but he writes, I would consider it an RC, not an XRC, but I got the Kobe, and I believe that was on the back end of 1997, even though it's a tall boy, and I believe it says rookie for Kobe. He goes on to say, I collect these when there's a player they made a card of that's considered a rookie. I call them sleepers. And the gentleman responds by saying, I love them. This one was released in September of 2019 before the start of his second season. So I think it's a borderline RC. Ha ha. But his first SI for Kids at the least. Okay, so we have a lot of improper identification of what this card really is. It's things like this that are just rampant throughout the hobby. This SI for Kid is now his first Sports Illustrated for kids, so it's his rookie card. It's a rookie card, and I beg to differ. It's stuff like that that we just make up these um, genres of rookie card that are really incorrect. Now, we can call them whatever we want. I've made that perfectly clear in the past. This your card. If you think that's a rookie card, hey, more power to you. Hey, but it doesn't seem like you're real sure. Just looking at your comments, if you're not real sure, um, please don't spew this kind of nonsense online. And this is the type of stuff that is just anywhere and everywhere. Okay, so my thing is, call it what it is. Let's get a little educated, and let's call. I think I posted an Instagram on a LeBron James myself not all that long ago, a 2003 SI for kids. I loved it. I picked it up at I forget what show. It was a pretty big show that I went to, but I picked it up. It was at the National, so I picked it up, added it to my PC because it's something that I don't see very often. It is his rookie year, uh, being that it was in 2003, but that's what I call it. It's a rookie year card. It's not a rookie card per se. Um, Moving on, I struggled with this because I wanted to comment, and I didn't want to come off, you know, like a purist, mean spirited person, right? And also, let me add, the point that I wanted to drill home with that interview was n- not all purist collectors are mean spirited, and to make derogatory remarks towards purists, you're painting with a really broad strokes, and not all purist collectors are mean spirited. Not all purist collectors agree, and there's to put us all in a bucket and to wish for our death, to me is a little outrageous. Um, but I wanted to comment here so bad on this type of stuff, and I see it all the time, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't bother me. But then there's these moments, right, or like this one, that just kind of like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? And so my response to this post was, oh my word, with a couple of emojis, because the thread, the conversation, the entirety of it all, it just reeked. It reeked to high heaven. And this is the kind of stuff that just, man, I tell you, drives me nuts. Anyways, I wanted to end with a comment from that John Keating left me on that interview with Dr. Beckett. Had a ton of comments, very supportive comments. Thank you all who commented on that video, and people just thought, gave it so much praise. John Keating, a friend of mine from Hobby Hotline, he left a comment, and I wanted to share it with you because I wanted to expound a little bit on it. But he basically said, "Well done, you two. Collecting reflects life. Opinions of elders is often rebuffed, which basically means refused or rejected. But wisdom is gathered through experience. Can't teach a lesson if the student doesn't want to learn. I have evolved over the last few years, unabashed or unashamed purist in parentheses." Now here I wanted to say, this comment right here to me is spot on in so many ways. But I also wanted to expound on it in a little bit. And this is the whole uh, inspiration for this video. But opinion of the elders is often refused or rejected. That's that's powerful, and that's so accurate. But my thing is, what I have learned, I guess, through experience, is that to reject the wisdom of the older collectors is foolish. It's it's a fool's errand to despise what elders have to speak. They have been in our shoes for so long, and they have so much experience and so much understanding. And to reject what they have to say, well, you're considered a fool, is what wisdom teaches us. I recently, just this past week, seen a video by a very popular sports collecting investing channel, and they were basically talking about, you know, be careful about prospecting because prospecting can be very, very dangerous. And they had the thumbnail, the match, and the whole thing. But he basically is laying out, that when you're prospecting players, you have to be very, very careful and very, very selective because you can really lose your rear end on that side of it. And that, and it's like this big revelation, this big aha moment. No, that's not an aha moment. It might be an aha moment for him, but let me tell you something. That's what older guys have been telling the younger guys for a very long time. This is what we're this is what we're trying to teach you. But it's rejected, right? We're trying to teach you, man, be careful when you're prospecting. You're going to take a bath in losses when you're dealing with this type of genre of collecting. So be very, very careful. Now, when that's coming from an elder, it's rejected. When it's coming from a young investor, oh, well, so much wisdom, so much, oh, great insight. Thank you so much. Oh, my goodness. Oh, listen, that's old news. This is what we've been trying to tell you. I'm going to also add wisdom, where he says here, wisdom is gathered through experience, but wisdom is also gathered by listening to wise people. That is um, one of the biggest things. I had a raising my kids, and my kids are almost all of them are in their 30s or almost 30, but I gave a lot of lectures. I'm the teacher in the home. I'm the disciplinarian in the home. But with my discipline comes lectures. 9 times out of 10, I'm giving lectures anyways. But in hindsight, we talk about it, and my kids, they kind of poke fun at me at some of the lectures that I've given over the years. And I found myself in a place where I even apologize to my kids for the lectures that I've given them. And they tell me, Dad, don't you dare apologize for your lectures, because I'm older now and I see it, and I need to thank you for the lectures that you gave me, because when I experience life and I go through certain things in life, it's like your lectures come to life for me, and it like confirms what you were trying to say. So and several of my kids have told me that. And when you look at my kids, not that they're perfect by no means, but they're well respected in the community. They're well respected at their jobs. And it's because I believe they have embraced the lectures of their father. And so I also want to add this. I think that too many of the older collectors, either they say things in the wrong way and it's not received well, or they don't say anything at all. And I think that's a very dangerous place to be as well. So my point is, wisdom is also gathered by listening to wise people. And, Rob Barris over at Burbank, I love the content he's been producing. He's teaching. He's teaching us the ins and outs of owning that type of store. And it's so amazing to watch. Dr. Beckett, all he does is just give us insights into the hobby. Oh, why he doesn't have 150,000 followers is beyond me. Uh, why? Because nobody wants to listen to the old guy. Well, I mean, I do. And I think we should all, not that we have to worship every word they say, but take what they say and consider it, I guess is my point. But young people refusing to learn is the excuse that some of us older collectors like to use so that we can just wash our hands of it and wash our hands from responsibility from it. Um, but when the older generations give up teaching the younger generations, I think we're in trouble, and I don't think that's a good place to be for any of us. Um, I have seen that excuse used over and over by older gentlemen. And older gentlemen, we need to speak, man. We need to teach. We need to do it in love, with respect, and not confrontational. Uh, but we need to take the traditions of our hobby and we need them pass them along to the next generation. And Ross, I'm actually going to be bringing my next guest is going to be a hobby historian that I'm going to bring on, and we're going to expound on that topic a little bit further. So stay tuned. I want to have these interviews like every 4 to 6 weeks. So for the month of February, be looking out for that in my next interview. But I'm going to end with this, you guys. Um, my mom passed away already, and I'm going to get very, very personal with you here. Uh, and I'm just going to bring it home and keep it real with you. But I had a mom. She died very young. She died at age 62. Um, but she had a lot of health problems throughout her life. But she's a very religious woman, and I shouldn't even say religious because religion is not that misrepresents her. She's a very spiritual woman, and and my mom would give lectures, lots of lectures, and I'm like, oh, mom, please, I don't want to hear what you had to say. And I really was very rebellious. And my mom was very confrontational in giving her lectures. And man, her and I really butted heads quite a bit. And so, um, it got to the point where, my mom would bring correction and my mom would tell me, listen to me. And she would make me look at her. She would say, I don't care if you're 60 years old with a gray beard hanging to the ground. If I see you or I catch you doing something that is outside of the will of God, I'm going to pull you by your ear and get you out of there. And I'm like, oh, mom, you're so dramatic, right? But then she would add this. Not only do I have the right as your mother, but I also have the responsibility to tell you when you're doing wrong. I was like, back then, 40 years ago or 35 years ago, I would roll my eyes at something like that and reject what she had to say. But now in hindsight, I see what she was telling me. Mom was trying to give me a lecture to tell me that there's standards and principles that I want you to live by. And if I don't catch you living that way, if I catch you living the wrong way, I'm going to let you know when you're doing wrong. And it's one of them things where she had such a deep conviction to say, I have a responsibility to teach you. And I think older collectors, if you're over the age of 40, we have a responsibility, I believe, to teach the younger collectors the history and the traditions of our hobby. Oh, but it should be whatever you want, whatever it is. It's up to you. And this fascination. Listen, that's cool in fantasy land, but in the real world, there's rules. And this other mindset that we have, where I don't want rules in my hobby. My hobby is a place where I escape from uh, reality. This is where I escape and just do whatever I want to do. Listen, listen, that statement just really rubs my fur in the opposite direction. I'm a man and I have responsibilities. And I don't see anywhere where I have an entitlement to self indulge into, I have this right that I get to indulge in and escape from reality. That's what sleep is for. A hobby it is indeed, but I think that kind of mindset, right, is why we have this liberalization of the rookie card, and nobody wants it to have structure. Nobody wants boundaries. Nobody wants rules or guidelines. And I think it's dangerous. Anyways, the takeaway here is if you're a purist collector, lighten up. Be a teacher. Be a teacher of the traditions of the hobby. Be an advocate for teaching the next generation, and be an advocate for doing it not mean spirited. I think if you're a young ultra modern collector, you need to understand, in order to understand the future, you need to know the history. And so learn. A lot of these things in this hobby are cyclical. There's stuff that happens over and over again. The highs and the lows. We've seen it all before. It's nothing to panic about. It's nothing to, you know, freak out about. But learn, be open. I think it's a give and take here. We have to extend ourselves a little bit of grace, because I think it's healthy for both of parties to coexist. And I don't let the matrix of this world, right? The matrix of this political climate affect our hobbying. Understand that there's um, purists, that there's um, ultra modern people, that there's all kinds of people, but we should all, be understanding the history. And we'll get into that a little bit more next month. Other than that, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Oh my goodness, this video is long. With that said, I appreciate you guys as always. Like and subscribe and all that happy junk. And I will catch you on the next one.